day, and I don't know about you, but I woke up with the attitude of gratitude. Woke up this morning, and God got me stuck on eagles. I'm trying to tell you, I ended up in Isaiah 40th chapter, 31st verse in my early Bible says, they that wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagle. Now notice what the text says, because I was all up in this thing early this morning. It doesn't say those that rest on the Lord. Going according to plan. That ain't what it say. That ain't what it say. It says they that wait. Beloved, waiting does not mean sitting somewhere doing absolutely nothing. Waiting doesn't mean just sitting around. I'm gonna tell you what it means. Waiting means I gotta keep trusting God even when I don't understand God, because His ways above my ways and His thoughts above our thoughts. Waiting means I got to keep praying even when God ain't showing me the answer. Waiting. Waiting means I got to keep serving even if there's nobody applauding. That's what waiting means. Waiting means I got to remain 10 toes down, planted when everybody else is running. Yeah. Waitings means I got to stay faithful during the discomfort. I say faithfully in uncertainty. I stay faithful when it looks like I've been delayed. I stay faithful when it looks like everybody else is passing me by. Why? Because sometimes what feels like delay is actually divine development. Oh, somebody tweet that. Yeah. Sometimes God is not denying you. Sometimes God is just developing you. Let me teach you something about the eagle. The eagle doesn't fight the wind. The eagle studies the wind. Yeah. See, when a storm comes, a lot of birds run. They start looking for somewhere to hide. But the eagle spreads its wings. And instead of allowing the wind to destroy it, the eagle uses the force of the wind to rise. Yeah. So when Isaiah says they shall mount up with wings as eagles, listen to me. God is not promising you that you'll never experience the storm. God is telling you that the storm does not determine your altitude. Somebody need to hear that. The storm doesn't determine your altitude. Let me say it again for the people in the back. The storm does not determine trouble. Doesn't determine your altitude. The disappointment doesn't determine your altitude. The betrayal doesn't determine your altitude. The setback doesn't determine your altitude. The waiting season doesn't determine your altitude, because, when God teaches you how to use your wings, the very wind that looked like it came to push it down becomes what God used higher. Oh, good. Am I talking to myself today? I'm getting myself all excited, preaching myself happy. Listen, you thought the storm came to stop you. God said, I'm going to teach you how to ride that storm. You thought the pressure came to destroy you. God said, I'm going to use that pressure to develop you. You thought the wind was resistance. God said the wind is about to become your elevation. But before you can ever learn how to fly, there has to be something you need to understand about the eagle. We're going to have to go back. That's what I had to do this morning. I ended up going back because God showed me something. He said, listen, boy, before you can fly, I need you to understand something about the eagle. I said, Lord, what you're showing me? Exodus, the 19th chapter, the 4th verse. God tells Israel, it's applicable to our lives. You, us, you have seen what I did to the Egyptians and how I bear you on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself. Good, goo. Don't miss that. Before God ever talks about mounting up on your own wings, God reminds you that there was a season when he carried you on his. That's grace. But before you knew how to fly, God carried you. Before you knew how to pray, God carried you. Before you understood your purpose, God carried you. Before you understood what was happening around you, God carried you. Before you had the strength to stand, God carried you. And some of us, let me testify, are only here to so strong. You didn't survive because you had all the answers. You didn't survive because you made all the right decisions. I didn't. I don't know about you. There were moments when God said, you don't even know how to fly yet. So get on my wings. Yeah, he carried you. So when I look back over my life, I can't take all the credit. There were some things I walked through that I really should not have. Walked through some things that damn sure should have took me out. There were some situations I survived that I didn't have enough wisdom to survive. Some doors God closed, and I was mad about it at the time. Some people God moved, I thought I needed. Let me pull up Auburn Avenue. There were some places God just wouldn't let me stay. And now I can look back and say, God, you were carrying me. But then something happens. But because eventually the eagle has to grow. Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter, the 11th verse says, as the eagle stirreth up her nest, fluttereth over her young, spreadeth abroad her wings. Wait a minute. As an eagle stirreth up her nest, why would she disturb what she built? Why would she disrupt the place that had been keeping the young eagle safe? Because the nest was designed to be a place of protection. It was never designed to be a permanent residence. I'm done. I told you. I tried. I'm back. I told you God been dealing with me with this eagle thing all day. And every time I'm looking at it, he's showing me something different. He just showed me when he had me telling you the nest was designed for protection. Never designed to be a permanent residence. And comfort at times can become a cage. Some of us, I know I do, keep asking God to make the nest comfortable again. God is saying, I'm the one who stirred it in the first place. You keep rebuking the disturbance. God said, I sent the disturbance. Ways above our ways, thoughts above our thoughts. I was praying for, you might have been praying for, we keep praying for, Lord, put everything back the way it was. God said, if I put everything everything back the way it was, you will never become what I created you to become. Because see, beloved, there are certain things you can only learn outside of the nest, outside of the building. Reverend Dr. Joseph Lawrence Roberts said there's two types of work. It's church work and it's the work of the church. Church work, that's what they do in the building. The work of the church, the ecclesia, the called out body. Oh, my men used to be in the highways and the byways. Y'all know we just outside. And why is that? Because there's certain things you can only learn outside them house niggas. Ain't you? You know already. There's certain muscles you can't develop sitting in comfort. Certain prayers you never learn to pray until life gets uncomfortable. There is a faith you never discover until your familiar support disappears. There is a strength you never realize until that you have until God allows you to reach a place where you have no choice but to stretch your wings. So maybe everything shaking around you is not destruction. His ways above our ways, his thoughts above our thoughts. Can we just look at it from a different perspective? Maybe it's not destruction. Maybe it's divine development. Maybe everything changed around you is not God abandoning you. Maybe God's just stirring the nest. Maybe the relationship changed. Maybe the job changed. Maybe the opportunity disappeared. Maybe the institution changed, or the administration changed, or maybe the political pastor locked the doors against the kids. Maybe that season ended. Maybe what used to feel secure doesn't feel secure anymore. And you're asking God, what's happening? God says, let me proclaim his word. You got too big for the nest. God says, I protected you there. I fed you there. For those who know me, they go to goosebumps. Yeah. I developed you there. I covered you there. But I did not create you to spend your whole life there. At some point, you got to discover, I got wings. The psalmist tells us, help me, Holy Ghost, Psalms 103 says that God reneweth thy strength like the eagle. Reneweth thy youth like the eagle. Reneweth thy young like the eagle. Reneweth thou young like the eagle. This is not simply talking about chronological age, not talking about a physical age. This is a renewal of the spirit. There is a renewal of the vision. There is a renewal of the strength. There is a renewal of the courage. Let me talk about it. 18 days, I'm be 48 years young. Reverend Dr. Albert Paul Brenton, the blessed Reverend Silly, 88 years young. You know, he got a youthfulness that God used to reignite in me. Okay, what you talking about? Listen to me. I was physically young and spiritually exhausted. Can I testify? You know you can do that, right? You can have all the material trappings of the world and be spiritually bankrupt. You can be young in health in physical age and just I'm done with it. And God reneweth thy youth like the eagles. You can be physically young, spiritually exhausted as I was. And you can have some years behind you, and God can relight the fire in your spirit. Because when God renews you, he gives you fresh strength for an old assignment. Fresh vision after the disappointment. Fresh courage after the betrayal. Fresh hope after the delay. Fresh passion after the exhaustion. Yeah. If you're tired, hear me. If you're discouraged, hear me. You feel delayed, hear me. You feel overlooked, lean in. If you've been wondering, God, did you forget about me? Hear the word of the Lord from the Lord's prophet. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Not might renew it. Not hopefully renew it. Shall renew their strength. And then they shall mount up. Don't miss the progression. God carried you. God stirred you. God renewed you. God taught you to rise. But there's one more step. Because God didn't develop your wings just so you could fly around looking impressive. God develops you because there's an assignment attached to your life. Isaiah 6th chapter says, in the year of King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting upon the throne, high and lifted up. Listen to me. There are some things you cannot see until something else has been removed from your line of vision. Notice what Isaiah said. In the year that King Uzziah died, that's when I saw the Lord. Sometimes has taken up too much of your vision. Sometimes it's a person. Sometimes it's a position. Sometimes it's security. Sometimes it's an institution. Sometimes it's money. Sometimes it's success. Sometimes you got to get out your own way because it's your own plan. Sometimes it's your own comfort. And God, y'all remember him, will allow something we trusted to be shaken until we finally lift our eyes high enough to see him. Isaiah said, I saw the Lord high and lifted up. And the angels cried, holy, holy, holy. Before there was calling, there was worship. Before there was an assignment, there was an encounter. Before Isaiah said, send me, Isaiah first, don't miss this, had to see God before calling. There's covenantal covering. Before God sends you somewhere, God has to keep you, prepare you. Mom and them used to have a song, Wilmington Mass Choir. He's preparing me for something I can't handle right now. Watch this. He's making me ready. See, before God exposes you, me, us to the assignment, God typically prepares you in private. Before anybody knew your name, don't forget that God knew your purpose. Before anybody gave you a title, heaven gave you an assignment. Before anybody recognized the gift, God had to give it to you. And then God asked the question, open question, who shall I send? And who will go for us? Isaiah, me. Here I am, send me. You know what that is? That's the eagle's call. After God carried you, after God stirred the nest, after God renewed your strength, after God taught you how to rise above the storm, eventually heaven asked the question, what are you going to do with the life I saved? That's the question. What are you going to do with the strength that I renewed? What are you going to do with the wisdom you gained? And after you pass this test, what you going to do with this new testimony? What you going to do with the pain you survived? What you going to do with the lessons you learned in the nest? What you going to do with them wings? Because maybe the reason you're still alive in this generation is because heaven is waiting on your answer. Maybe you survived because somebody needs your testimony. Maybe you learned what you learned because somebody needs your wisdom. Daddy King would oftentimes smack the Blessed Reverend on the thigh and say, Albert, it's never about you. It's always about others. Maybe, just maybe, God allowed you to walk through what you walk through because somebody coming up behind you is going to need you to show them how to fly. Maybe this season has not been about your punishment. Maybe this is the season of your prophetic preparation. I mean, when you think about it, you've been carried, you've been stirred, you've been renewed, you've been lifted, and now you're being sent. So if you're in a waiting season, don't panic. If you're in a quiet season, don't quit. If you feel the nest being stirred around you, don't assume God has left you. Beloved, because if the wind is blowing, all you really got to do is spread your wings. Because the same God who carried you before you could fly is the same God who will teach you how to use the storm. And when heaven asks the question, whom shall I send? You already know. After everything you survived, after everything God put you through, after all the nights he kept you, all the storms he carried you through. After all the times you should have lost your mind. After every closed door, after every disappointment, after every delay, after every uncomfortable season, every stirred nest. I want somebody to have the courage to throw up their hands and tell God, here I am, send me. God, if you can use my story, send me. If you can use my struggle, send me. If you can use my gifts, send me. If you can use my business, send me. If you can use my ministry, send me. If you can use my voice, send me. If you can use what you allowed me to survive, then send me. Because now I understand. The nest was not the destination. The storm was not the end. The waiting was not wasted. The discomfort is not destruction. God has been divinely developing my wings. And now, I'm ready to rise. Now, I'm ready to answer. Now, I'm ready to go. Question is, who will go? Here I am, Pop. Send me.